Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Outwood Academy Careers event live. We are going to be getting started shortly. So we've had a couple of questions already about access to the YouTube stream. If you are an Outwood student, it might be asking you to sign out of your Outwood account to view YouTube. So what you might want to do is get back onto the link, sign out of your Outwood account, and get back onto the website. So we're going to get started shortly. Going to be a quick introduction from me. My name is Ben Eckersley. I'm the careers lead at Outwood Academy Shafton. I'm really excited to be hosting the first virtual careers event that we've had. We obviously want to build on the success of the previous year's careers events in school, but obviously not possible this year. But because it's virtual, we've got no access issues, we've got no building capacity issues. So this is out and open and available to all pupils, primary, secondary, post 16 across the entire region. So if you do have some friends that you think should be on there, that you think this will be useful for, please do send them the link, get them logged on and get them watching. We've got some really good presentations from HEPC, Barnsley College, Ask Apprenticeships, and we've also got that website available for everyone to use and access. So thanks again for joining us. If you are with us this afternoon, we've got, as I said, loads of info. Please tag us in any tweets at Outwood Shafton and use the hashtag Outwood Careers Event Live. So a massive warm welcome to pupils, parents, staff, from all the Outwood secondary schools, post-16 centres and primaries in the central region, and obviously a wide welcome as well to students across Yorkshire from other Outwood schools. You're all very, very welcome, and we hope you found these sessions and the website really useful tonight. Before I go through the running order then, and the plan for the event, I want to say a huge thank you to the people who are going to contribute and already have contributed to the event. Colleagues from HEPC, Barnsley College, New College Pontefract, Ask Apprenticeship, Careers Inc., they've all helped us massively. And there's some colleagues at Outwood Academy Shafton as well that have helped me plan and gather content for this event and the website. So Claire, Esther, and the rest of the Deep Experience team. And obviously the employers and employees that have contributed to the website that you'll be able to access shortly and that hopefully are accessing while watching this YouTube video. So I'll introduce you all that shortly. We're live now from 4:30 till around 5:30, so about an hour, as I've said, with live talks from HEPC around post-16 options. Barnsley College will be speaking about A-levels, BTECs, and then Ask Apprenticeships will be speaking about the range of apprenticeships available to you after year 11. So during the live event, you'll hopefully be on the careers website where you access this video from. On there is a link right at the top to ask any questions, any speakers, all the speakers you can ask questions to. So it's a link to a Padlet. What you'll be able to do is you'll be able to see the categories at the top. You'll be able to then ask Barnsley College questions, for example, and HEPC questions. So please do click on that if you've got any questions while we're talking. And then at the end of each person's session, I'll come back on and ask some of those questions to them directly. As well as this then, on the Careers Event Live website, where again, most of you should be accessing this live video, you'll see a chat button or a button to speak to Careers Inc. We've got Careers Inc. advisors ready to speak to you tonight. So click on that. You'll be able to send them questions relating to anything to do with careers, not just the sessions you're going to hear from tonight. So whether it's be course or college related, subject questions, something about university, applications, whatever that might be, click that at any point during the night. That'll be accessed until around 6:30. So before we get started then, and I'm going to introduce Rachel shortly from HEPC to get the live event underway. We've got a competition running throughout the evening as well on the site. So once the event is over and once you've used some of the materials on the website, please complete the feedback form, the survey on there. It's really quick, and we've got 3 £10 Amazon vouchers to give away. So please click on that link as well that's on the website right at the top. You'll be able to answer a couple of questions, some feedback for tonight, and then going over what you've seen, what you enjoyed, and then every entry is an entry to win one of 3 £10 Amazon vouchers. So I'm sure you've all seen the website that you're accessing it on. On there is a huge range of information and events and activities you can engage with. So obviously right at the top, you've got the live video that we're streaming on now. Underneath there, then you've got information about local training providers, information sites. We've got the link to the Careers Inc. Advisor chat. We've got link to post 16, so there might be some people watching that are already in post 16, or already thinking about going to local colleges. You can click on there. We've got links to local universities as well. So if you're in post 16, you're looking at post 18. Loads of things on there as well. a huge section on careers in the curriculum. So if you're interested in a particular subject, you can click on there and find out careers links to geography, DT, computer science, whatever that might be. I'm really excited as well. We've got 2 website links on there about work experience. So obviously for everyone, the Easter holidays are coming up soon. A lot of work experience this year is going to have to be virtual, unfortunately. But there's 2 websites on there, one called SpringPod, one called Speakers for Schools Experience, and there's loads of information on there about virtual careers and work experience on there. Stuff running through the Easter holidays and through the summer holidays as well. And then finally, as you scroll down the page, and again, you'll get to do this in your own time after the live event, we've got over 35 interviews, Q&As with people from hairdressing to editors to authors to community engagement, doctors, nurses, teachers, paramedics, as many things you can think of. Short interviews between 5 and 7 minutes long, talking about what they do. What is it like to be a doctor or a nurse or a teacher or a social media marketer, etc. So final thing from me then, Rachel's going to take over shortly, presenting from HEPSI. We've then got a session with Ashley and Michael from Barnsley College. And then finally, it's going to be Emily from Ask Apprenticeships, giving information about those apprenticeships. So I'm going to welcome now Rachel onto the call. So thank you very much, Rachel, for joining us. A huge thanks for coming in and contributing to this event. Rachel, I'm just going to ask then if you wouldn't mind just sharing your screen so I can put it on the screen again, and then you will be good to go. And I will step back. I'll let you introduce yourself and introduce your session.
Yeah, so can you see that?
Yeah, that's all sorted, Rachel. I will leave that over to you then.
Fab. Thank you ever so much, Ben, and a huge welcome to Outwood Careers Live. I'm really happy to be here. So as Ben mentioned, my name's Rachel and I am a higher education progression advisor here at HEPSI. So you've probably never heard of a higher education progression advisor, and you potentially might not have heard of HEPSI either. So I'll tell you a little bit about the project itself, HEPSI, and my role and how I fit into that sort of project. So HEPSI is the partnership between the 2 local universities in Sheffield. So Sheffield Hallam University and the University of Sheffield. Now, our aim is to support young people. So we work with year 9 right the way through to year 13. So lots and lots of people on the call. If you are from any Outwood in Sheffield, if you are from Carlton and Shafton, you potentially will recognise me because I do lots and lots of work in both schools. So we work with 46 institutions, so schools and colleges across South Yorkshire, and we provide young people with lots and lots of information to help them make informed decisions about their future steps. So that might be their post-16 steps, so after year 11, or it might be a little bit further on, post-18 and further in the future. Now, my role, don't worry about the fancy title, Higher Education Progression Advisor. Basically, I'm a careers advisor. And that's what I do in schools and colleges. So I provide impartial information, advice and guidance. And I do this through lots and lots of different employability and career sessions in schools. So I go into the curriculum and do sort of careers in the curriculum sessions, all that right the way through to one-to-one career guidance. So that's me. Now, what I'm going to talk to you today about is just making sure that you guys can see it. So what I'm going to be talking about is all of the different options after year 11 and a little bit further on, and how to best make that decision about what you want to do, because there's lots and lots of choices out there, which is fantastic. But it's all about making sure that you as students or, your son and daughter, if you're a parent or carer, or your students, if you're a member of staff, are making the right decision for them and their future. So I won't jabber on for too long. It's an absolutely gorgeous day outside, so I'm sure that you guys will be wanting to get out there. I'm just going to touch on the different options, but there are, as Ben said, there are people from Barnsley College to talk in a bit more detail, and also Emily from the Ask Project to talk about apprenticeships in a bit more detail. So if you're thinking, blimey, I've got no idea nowadays what is available post 16, to break it down really simply, these are the options after year 11. So you can go into A-levels, you can do a vocational course such as a BTEC, and I'll go into that, or you can go into an apprenticeship. Now, A-levels was the first choice that came down on that diagram. Now, A-levels are probably something that you will all have heard of. It's not a new thing. They're not new. But you can do these at different institutions. So you can do them at a sixth form or a college. Now, for you guys, you have absolutely got lots and lots of institutions across the region. But one that I work very closely with, because I cover the Barnsley region, is Barnsley Sixth Form. But there's lots and lots of other choices out there. Now, A-levels are 2 years long. So you, after your year 11, you go into A-levels for 2 years, and you can choose up to 3 or 4 subjects. Now, it's very much like you are choosing when you chose your GCSE subjects. So you're choosing something to study in a little bit more detail. So 3 or 4 subjects to choose in a little bit more detail. However, it might be that the choice of subjects that you have got to choose from is a little bit wider than you had when you chose your GCSEs. So it might be that you can do an A-level in law, for example, that you haven't been able to pick before, or sociology or psychology. So all of these subjects are available, as well as those core subjects that you've already been studying at school, like your maths, English, science, geography, history, etc. Many A-levels, requirement-wise, to get in to do A-levels, they are looking for grade 6 or above to be able to actually go on to A-levels. And that's across the board normally, so across most subjects that they are looking for that. However, depending on what institution you are going to and depending on what subjects you're choosing to do, it can vary. So do have a look on all of the websites. There's lots of virtual sort of events to go to and open days. I'm sure the Barnsley College guys will speak to you a little bit more about that. But there's lots and lots of information on people's websites. So do have a look and do double check. I'll come on to informed choices a little bit later on. As I said, the guys after me are going to talk about this in a little bit more detail, so I'll only touch upon this. But the other choice that you've got is a vocational course. Now, this can be called BTEC Cambridge. There's quite a lot of different names, and they can be different size qualifications and different levels. So it's really worth having a look into these. Now, these are where you study a specific area or a specific sector, and they're a combination of coursework and an exam assessment as well. So, for example, it might be that you are doing a BTEC in health and social care. So that's sort of wider variety, covering a lot more content rather than specific A-level subjects. You can combine these with A-levels at certain institutions. So again, do make sure you have a look whether you can do that and whether the institution you're interested in going to offers that as well. Like I said, I'm only going to touch on these as the guys after will go into a little bit more detail.
Rachel, now, just to let you know, we can't see the text for some reason. It's like dropped off the bottom of the screen. So you might just want to have to leave the presentation view. We've just had a couple of questions and I've just noticed, well, I thought it had frozen, but for some reason it's just drops off the screen. So do you want to try sharing again?
Yeah,
going to presentation again, seeing what happens.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm just talking to myself probably then. I'll
we
just share
it all,
again.
Obviously, but thanks.
I've just shared again for you, Ben.
Bro, we can see that. Do you want to just go back to where you were?
Yeah. So
there we go.
Just going to it through to T levels. Can you see that all right?
You can. That's brilliant.
Brilliant. Fab. We're back in the game. Brilliant. So T levels are probably something that you potentially might not have heard of. They are quite new. Now, T levels have been created by industry leaders and also educational leaders as well. Now, what they are, they're a mix of sort of a vocational course and sort of an apprenticeship. They're a little bit in the middle ground. Now, they are a mix between classroom education, like your vocational courses or type of A-levels, and apprenticeships as well, because you will be doing classroom based activities and your qualification, and you'll also be doing 45 hours minimum, 45 days, sorry, not hours, 45 days minimum of an industry placement. So they're a bit in between sort of your vocational and your apprenticeships. Now you can study these in particular industry areas. And like I said, they are new, but we are lucky in our region because we have a lot of institutions who have been pilot institutions. So Barnsley College, for example, one of the first in the country to actually offer T levels. Now, what this provides students is the qualification side of things and lots of industry experience. So like I say, it's a bit of a middle ground between those vocational courses and apprenticeships. Now, at the moment, in certain institutions, you can only do particular course, like subject areas. So, for example, you can see on the left at Barnsley College, there's only specific subjects that you can study. But like I said, they are very new, so there will be lots more. Again, as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, where Doncaster College are offering T levels in lots and lots of different areas. So again, one to look out for and to look into a little bit more detail. Apprenticeships, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I think Emily probably will echo literally everything that I'm about to say. But apprenticeships are jobs with a qualification as well. So basically, it's a job with training and a qualification. So you'll be going into work normally, a stereotypical apprenticeship. 4 days a week, you'll be in the workplace, and 1 day a week, you'll be going to college or a training centre or a training provider to do that qualification. Now, they are available at different levels and in different sort of areas and job roles. So again, it's all about that research to ensure that an apprenticeship is right for you. And you can actually go up the levels of apprenticeships and are now offering in certain industry areas degree apprenticeships as well. So exactly the same as what a degree stereotypically, traditionally is, but studying in a very different way. And I'm sure Emily will touch on that in a few minutes. So you are paid for an apprenticeship. So that's how it differs from the other options. The minimum wage is £4.15, and you are training for a specific job or specific industry. So again, something to keep in mind. Now, this might be really, really obvious, but students can come a little bit unstuck on this. So what you choose to study at post 16, so after year 11, potentially will limit or open up doors, depending on how you look at it, what you can then go on to for post 18. So after you've completed college or sixth form or your apprenticeship. So to do your research properly is absolutely crucial. And what I would advise is if you have a specific job role in mind, if you have a specific career or industry, have a look at that first and then work your way back to see what course you need to study at university, for example. Right, okay, so I want to be a physiotherapist, so I need to study that at university. Right, okay, so what do I then need to study at A-level, for example? Right, so to become a physiotherapist, I need to ensure that I have got I'm taking biology at A-level or sports studies, for example. So that really would have an impact on your future choices if you didn't pick those subjects. So really have a good think, and really, if you don't know, try and leave those options wide open with the different subjects to take, either at A-level, vocational, T-level, or apprenticeship. But if you are struggling with this, it's something that we at HEPSI can help with as careers advisors or Careers Inc. as well. So do bear that in mind if you are struggling. Another thing, again, that might seem really simple, but again, something that we often say to students, well, why have you picked that post-16 option? Make sure that you are choosing things that you enjoy, you have an interest in, because, 2 years is quite a long time to study things if you don't enjoy it. So make sure that you do have that interest, that you do have that passion. Always pick things that you're good at. It does make it a little bit easier. And like I've just mentioned, pick subjects or courses that fit in with that career area that you are ultimately interested in. All of the above will really help you decide what you want to pick and why you want to pick it. So other reasons, sort of why you might decide on where to go. So what institution, what sixth form, what college, or if there's a particular employer that you want to go to through an apprenticeship. Do they offer what you're interested in? Have they got entry grades that are realistic for you personally? Not your mates, not what your form tutor wants you to do or whatever. Are they realistic for you personally? Is it easy to get there? If it's a 9 o'clock start, for example, and you've got 2 buses to get, is it realistic that you are going to make that 9 o'clock lesson if you've got to set off at 7:15 every day, for example? So do have a look at these things and take these into consideration. Does it offer specialist support? So lots and lots of people get additional support at school. So do make sure that wherever you go, whatever institution you're thinking of, do have a look at the specialist support that's available, because more often than not, there's lots and lots available for you. Like I said just a couple of minutes ago, there's lots of open events virtually, obviously, at the moment, very much like this. But check on their websites because they're brilliant. I went to the Barnsley College one and it was absolutely brilliant. You got a walkthrough of all the facilities and stuff like that. So absolutely fab. Have you spoken as a student to, your family, or it might be your careers advisor, it might be your subject teachers? Make sure that you are discussing things. There's help out there. Like I said, HEPSI, Careers Inc. It might be that you go directly to Ben as your careers lead. So do have a chat about it. There is support out there for you. And make sure as well when you're applying, especially with the apprenticeship option, that you do have that backup as well. So last couple of things from me, and this might be worth just taking a photo of if you've got sort of your phone handy, or you can screenshot it. But a bit of a summary checklist for you to make sure that obviously you're on the right track when you come into thinking about your post 16 or post 18 options. Think about how and what you want to study. Think about where it's available. Massive crucial one that all careers advisors harp on about all the time. Research is crucial. And get advice where you can. Like I said, there's lots of support out there, so do ask the question. And does it fit into what you want to do in the future? And if you can tick all of those, absolutely, you are ready for your next step. Again, something that might be useful to take a photo of, but useful websites are here on the screen. Another one that I use all the time that's really easy, user-friendly and everything like that is Prospects. Now that has job profiles on there, and it's like I say, really easy to use. So do have a look on there. If there's any questions at all, post them the way that Ben said for tonight, and I will make sure that I get as many of them answered as possible. But feel free to get in contact with me directly. We do have an advice line as well, so just a number that you can call, and it's either myself or another HEPA, so another careers advisor, and it is that number on the screen, 0114 478 1002. And that's open Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. So please feel free to ring. We can talk through anything at all careers-wise and help you out as much as possible. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. So like I said, any questions at all, please let me know and I'll try and help you out as much as I possibly can.
That's been brilliant. Thank you very much, Phil. We have had a couple of questions just on the Padlet. So one of the questions was, someone wants to know, are A levels the same as college? So I was just wondering if you could really quickly just talk about what the difference is, what those two words mean.
Yeah, so often, I mean, the Barnsley College guys will go into it a little bit more detail, but the vocational courses, depending on the level, now normally a level 3 vocational course is the equivalent of 3 A levels. And Cambridge is also the same. So another name for a vocational course. So it will say on all of the websites. So do have a look when you are looking at the different levels of vocational courses, because it will say if they are equivalent to A levels, for example. Now, lots of universities now actually accept vocational courses as well. So again, something to consider if you are thinking about going on to higher education as well. So hopefully that's answered your question. If not, like I say, I'm sure the Barnsley College guys will go into it in a little bit more detail in the next presentation.
Brilliant. And just a couple more really quick. Someone wants to go to an international university. They wondered if they called that advice line or emailed HEPSI, is that something you'd be able to help out with?
Yeah.
Obviously, in the UK, is that something you can help with?
Absolutely, yeah. So the people on the advice line, it's like myself, so we're all level 7, so sort of master's level qualified careers advisors. So absolutely call up or email myself. Just talk us through sort of the sort of specifics and we'll help you out as much as we can. But absolutely, yeah, get in touch.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, so before we go over to Ashley and Michael, which we'll go into shortly, if you are watching, if anyone's message is saying they're struggling to get onto the live feed, it's because if you've got an Outwood account, it won't let you go on YouTube. So you might have to sign out of your Outwood account. If any friends, obviously, if you're watching, you are. But if there's any friends that have messaged you to say they can't get on, they'll just need to sign out and watch the YouTube video that way. So thank you very much, Rachel. I'm going to now invite Ashley and Michael and put their presentation on the screen. And guys, I will let you introduce yourselves and get on with this presentation.
Thank you very much, Ben. So welcome everybody, and thank you very much for joining us this evening. My name is Ashley and I've brought along my colleague Michael with me this afternoon, and we are from the schools team, which is part of student recruitment at Barnsley College, and that means that in a normal year we will be supporting you in school with that step from year 11 up to post 16. So this next 15 minutes, we're going to give you lots of information. So if you do have any questions, please do submit them and we'll try and get as many answered tonight as we can. But without further ado, I'll hand over to my colleague, Michael.
Thanks very much. Yeah, hello, welcome everybody. We're going to be following on with a lot of what HEPSI have been talking about, but maybe looking at how that will relate specifically to Barnsley College and Barnsley Sixth Form College. And we talk about those 4 main options that you can study. You can study those across our different sites. So we have those vocational courses. We'll talk about those in more detail, alongside T-levels, as you've just seen. We also do offer apprenticeships, if that's something you're interested in going into. And then you can study A-levels at Barnsley Sixth Form College. So we like to think that we've got something that's suitable for everyone, whether or not you want to go off to university or you're looking to go straight into work. If you're coming in with the best grade that you're hoping to get, or maybe you've not quite achieved them, there's something for everyone at Barnsley College and across Barnsley Sixth Form College. And then when we talk about those different options, we also talk about the different levels. So we mentioned that there earlier with HEPSI. Level 3 qualification is what we're hoping people are going to strive towards getting when they come in to join us. So we want you to get the best grades that you can. If you're in year 11 now, obviously all that pressure you will know about, and it is important you get the best grades that you can. And then that opens up as many doors as possible. So if you want to go on to do A levels, if you want to do the top vocational courses or T levels, and if you want to go to university afterwards and get those best jobs, then you'll be wanting a level 3 qualification. But we also appreciate that you might work really hard and not quite meet those entry requirements, or maybe things haven't quite gone right for you in school, but that's fine. We've got other options for you that still lets you get to where you want to be. It might just be having to climb that ladder. So if you don't meet the entry requirements of level 3, we might be able to offer you level 2. So a level 2 course will be 1 year to study, and then you climb up that ladder to level 3, do your 2 years, and then you can progress into further or higher education or employment. And again, maybe you don't quite meet those level 2 entry requirements, but we've got level 1 there. So you can do level 1 for a year, then level 2, and then your level 3. So it is in your best interest to get the best grades you can so that you can start at the highest level. We do appreciate that maybe things haven't quite gone to plan, and we've got those different levels there instead. It's also important that you pass, and I'm sure you'll be fed up with hearing about this, your English and maths. It's a legal requirement if you come to Barnsley College or any other college that you have the GCSE grade 4 as a minimum in English and maths. So if you don't achieve that by year 10, year 11, that will be added as part of your timetable when you come to college. So it could mean having to start level 2, and then you'll do the English and maths or just one of them alongside it. So then you can progress onwards. But do bear it in mind, if you're not yet in year 11, it is really important you get that level 4, your grade 4 in English and maths. So do work as hard as you can.
So we'll take a look at the first option here at Barnsley College, which is the vocational option. Now, vocational subjects are more industry related, and we'll take a look at those subjects in just a second. But vocational courses are practical and academic, so it's a mix of both, but they are heavily practical to enable you to either go straight into employment or onto higher education. So you only choose one subject. So if you're comparing it to A levels and sixth form, that's where you'll pick 3. With vocational, you only pick that one subject. And as Michael's just mentioned, at level 3, that is equivalent to your A levels. So there's different levels that you can enter in at, as Michael's just explained. And as mentioned, if you don't quite meet that grade 4 in English and maths, then it will be incorporated into your timetable. You'll have to retake that. And that's not just a Barnsley College requirement. All colleges will ask you to retake maths and English if you don't meet that grade 4. And it can lead on to employment or onto higher education. So these are some of the subjects that, and as you can see, they are a lot more industry based. So there's things like construction, engineering, hair and beauty, health and social care, travel and tourism, and all of these courses, you can either go straight onto university and continue with your studies, or you can go straight into employment. So we hope that we can build your skills up to do either or.
Super. We've already mentioned as well earlier about the T levels, and that is something you can study with us. We were one of the first to offer them last year when they first started, and they've gone really well. And then from next year, we'll be offering even more. So at the moment, it's construction, digital, childcare and education, and then health and social care coming in as well. And if you're not in year 11 yet, you're probably going to hear a lot more about T levels in the future. We're going to be seeing a lot more options available, not just at Barnsley College, but other providers as well. And as I've already explained, it does give that mixture. So if you're looking to have that vocational hands-on study, along with a bit more work experience, that 45 days of work placement, it's really crucial. It's a really big part of this. And it's not just going in and making maybe cups of tea or doing some photocopying for somebody. If you're doing something like digital, for example, you might be involved in designing a website for a client. So you'll be helping throughout the whole process of that. So it's a really useful work placement that you can get some real skills and you can apply the knowledge you've already learned as well. And then when you're looking for employment later on, that's going to have really helped you. So it's a bit of a mixture of vocational, bit of A level as well in there, and apprenticeships as well. So you will hear a lot more about them. And there's also a big push for those maths, English, and digital skills. Maths and English is going to be important for everything for the rest of your life. You'll be needing to use it. And we've seen in the last year with the lockdown and working from home, just how important it is to have good digital skills. And that's also going to be crucial for the future. So it's learning all those skills that you'll need to make you more attractive for employers in the future, along with them common workplace skills. You take for granted and maybe you don't understand that when you're at school, it is different to going into work. Maybe you're thinking now that you want to go into apprenticeship, and then when you start it, you might be surprised that actually I've got to be in for 8 o'clock every day, and I don't get to see my mates, and I'm working really hard. So it gives you those workplace skills that you would learn, and then again makes you more attractive to those employers in the future. So if you're looking for something that gives you that bit of a mixture between a vocational, apprenticeship, and an A-level, T-levels could be that for you. If you're in year 11 and it sounds like something you want to do, or year 10 and you're applying soon, when you apply to college for one of the vocational courses, we talk to you about T-levels. We're offering them to those students who are coming in with the higher grades because it is something that's going to be more demanding. So if we think it's going to be something suitable to you, we'll talk to you about it. And when it comes around to enrolment, it could be an option for you. If you feel like you don't want to take a T-level option, we've still got the vocational pathway instead, but it could be something to give you more skills to look for in the future.
So the third option at Barnsley College is to study an apprenticeship, and this is an alternative to the vocational pathway, and it's an opportunity for you to learn and earn at the same time. So what that means is that you'll be working with an employer, typically for 4 days a week, and then you'll come into one day to college. However, some departments do it slightly different, where you might be with an employer for a block period of time and then come into college for, say, a month. So depending on which department you're linked with academically, that will depend on your timetable. But more or less, you're going to be in the workplace. What we recommend is that you do go out and find your own employer if you are interested in doing an apprenticeship. And that's because we do add vacancies from employers throughout the year. However, they are few and far between, and we are quite you'll be in competition with lots of other students. So if you can go out and find your own employer, that means that that apprenticeship is yours only. If you are in year 11 right now and you are interested in apprenticeship, then you can contact us if you do manage to find an employer with those employer details, and we can set that apprenticeship up. So we always say as well, apply for a backup course, just in case you haven't found that employer by September. You can start on the backup course, whether that be vocational, T-levels or A-levels, and we can continue to support you in finding a vacancy, an apprenticeship vacancy, throughout the academic year. If you find one, we can transfer you from that full-time course onto your apprenticeship. So vacancies are added on our website and on the government website throughout the year.
Now, fourth main option we're going to talk about today are A-levels. So Barnsley Sixth Form College is part of Barnsley College, but it's its own building, so you'll be able to see it on the screen there. It's just behind the town hall, if you know Barnsley. It's a very new building. All of our buildings are very new and modern, and it's a good place to go and learn and study, and that's specifically for the A-level students. So I like to think of A-level as being a bit similar to school now, really. You choose 3 subjects, maybe 4, depending on how your entry requirements and your grades are, but 3 is what we're looking for you to go to university afterwards if you want to. And the other more academic, classroom-based ones. So while vocational is very hands-on and learning those skills, you're going to be in the classroom and you're going to be doing the sort of work that you're doing now in school a lot. So a lot of listening to the teacher, making notes, revision, discussing work with your fellow students, being in the classroom most of that time. And the entry requirements are a little bit different. So we look at an average point score. And essentially, if you're earning 5s and 6s in your GCSEs and above, that's what we're looking for you to come into sixth form. But then some subjects do have additional entry requirements. So if you want to study biology, for example, you would need a 6 in biology and a 6 in another science. If you wanted to do further maths, for example, you need 8 in maths. So we do say if you've got specific subjects you're looking at, have a look on our website, you'll see the entry requirements on there. But you'll be aiming for 5s and 6s and above if you want to come to the sixth form and study A-levels. And it is mainly assessed by exams. So while vocational has a mixture of hands-on practical assignments and coursework with some exams, in A-levels, it's mainly that 2 years of study, 2 years of revision, working, and then taking exams at the end. And that might be great for you. You might be a student who is really good at revising and likes that and enjoys that stresses and pressure that comes with revision and taking exams. And that's great. If you're not and you prefer the other side, and vocational's there for you instead. And while it is very exam-based and very exam-heavy, you're supported in it. So our tutors will support you. And if you put that work in and the effort in, they'll help you to get the best grades that you can. In our last set of actual exams that were taken, we had a 99% pass rate overall, with a 100% pass rate in 20 subjects. So our students do well. And from then, a lot of them will go off to university, and we'll support you with that. We'll help you with things like you writing your applications, having visits and trips, and making sure that you're making the right choice. And if you want to go to those top universities, so Oxford and Cambridge, if you want to go to those Russell Group universities, our Academic Ambition programme will make it that we can give you as much support as we can, because it is tricky, it's difficult, you have to have more interviews, and it's really hard work. So we give you that support you need to give you the best chance that you can. And it's not just about being in the classroom. we have our game space area as well, which is an old classroom that's now a lovely IKEA showroom, essentially. That's a place for you to go into if you don't want to be doing your work and maybe having a chat with somebody. It's a good place to be having some mental health time out of that stresses that comes with education, and to be doing something a little bit different that's maybe going to help you develop as a person. So these are the subjects that we offer in sixth form. We do suggest combinations that work well together. So when you come to us an interview, we'll ask what subjects you're looking at. If you're not sure, we'll help you think about 3 that would work well together and be useful for you. So for example, if you want to be a doctor, there's no point in you taking film studies, French and geography, because that's not going to allow you to go on to university and become a doctor. So you'll be looking at things like your sciences, biology, chemistry and maths. And there's other combinations for different styles of students. So maybe you're going to be more creative and you want something creative in the future for an employment. So it could be things like fine art, media studies, English. You might want to do languages. There could be more digital, computer-based subjects, things like computer science, media studies, IT. Or maybe you want to go and do subjects that you've never studied before in school. And we mentioned these earlier, things like psychology, law, sociology, subjects that you might not have heard of before even. So have a look into them and see, is that something that interests you? Obviously, entry requirements depend on these subjects, but we appreciate that you might not have studied things like psychology in school, so you don't need to have a GCSE in that, but there's still other entry requirements to look for. So if you're not sure about your options, get with us and having a look and seeing what's out there, but have a chat to us as well, and we can help you think about 3 or 4 subjects that would work well together. And then here's an example timetable for when you come to sixth form, a little bit different to vocational. In vocational, you might be in 3 or 4 days a week, that could be spread across a week. And again, like I said, A-levels like school, you might be in, or you probably will be in, 5 days a week. At the moment, obviously, we're getting back to that normal 5 days a week. And it's not just being in class all the time. So you're going to have timetabled sessions for directed study. That might be where you're doing some revision or making some notes, making sure that you're ready for your next steps that you need to take. And then you've got academic coaching and tutorials, so that we're making sure as a student and as a person, you're feeling happy and confident in what you're doing. That Wednesday afternoon, what you can see the student enrichment time, that's across college. So both the vocational students and the A-level students will have student enrichment. There's no timetable lessons, and it's a time for you to do something different that's going to give you more skills in the future, which could involve, for example, our sports academy. Now, sports academy is available to any student, no matter what you're studying. It doesn't have to be sport. It could be vocational, it could be A-levels, it could be apprenticeships, for example. And with this, you can take part still in training. So they meet and train on a Wednesday afternoon and take part in competitions. It could be an individual sport or a team sport. So things like cricket, football, rugby, netball, basketball, lots more. Our teams are successful as well. So we've won some various college competitions over the years. We get to go over to Spain regularly and take part in competitions as well. And I always use a couple of examples that I like. We have Beth England, who was one of our A-level students. She was studying sixth form, but taking part in the sports academy on a Wednesday afternoon. And she's now a professional footballer for England and Chelsea ladies. And then Jamie Vardy, who I'm sure a lot of you have heard of, as he came through our public services course, but took part in the sports academy as well. And from that became a professional footballer. So you can still take part in academic learning in the classroom and pursuing something in sport if that's what you want to do as well.
But if you're not interested in sport and you want to take part in something else, then we've got lots of different opportunities on a Wednesday afternoon that you can take part in. When you come and join us in September or whatever year you decide to come and join us, there'll be a list of activities that you can take part in. And this is to enhance your skills. So it's on your CV and it's on your personal statement for university. And it could be things like music classes, driving theory test lessons, language classes, cooking classes. There is so much to take part in.
Super. It's also worth bearing in mind as well that we do have a free coach, or various free coaches that will go from different areas, bring you to college and back at the end of the day. For some of you who are watching, this might be really useful to know. So if you live in the South Empsall side of Wakefield, that includes Hemsworth, there's a free coach, picks up from different areas and brings you in and back at the end of the day. And if you happen to move to any of these other areas on the screen as well, then it could be really useful for you. That free coach as well continues from the Olmer Lane site, the main red building in Barnsley Town Centre, and goes on to our farms. If you want to study animal care, Wickfield Farm's about 10 minutes out of town centre, but you can get that free coach that'll take you to the farm and back at the end of the day as well. So we try and make it as easy as we can. So if you want to come to us, we'll give you those options. You can get that free bus. All you need is your student lanyard once you've enrolled with us.
Have we still got, do you want us to wrap up with this one, Ben, and then?
If you could within a minute, that'd be great, because we've got quite a few questions, that's all. So I obviously want to get over to Emily as well, but I want a couple of questions as well, if that's all right.
Not a problem.
Super. Just to mention that we have student support that will carry on for you from school if you have any student support at the moment. There's loads of support for you as well when you come to college. And if you're looking to apply to us in the future, have a look on our website, and if your school uses a portal as well, follow these steps, and it's easy to apply. You can apply for more than one course. We'll get in contact with you as well and talk about your interviews.
And then just to let you know that your interviews aren't a scary thing at all. It's just basically asking you why you want to study that course, if you've got any experience in it, so if you've studied it at school, and it's a really, really informal chat with the tutor, so nothing to be scared about.
Super. Well, that's our contact details. If you do want to contact us with any questions after today, we'll leave those up for you for a second. But if you've got any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Really, really useful. And we've got quite a few questions, if you wouldn't mind answering some. So one of them said, can they change the subjects which they picked after they've got the GCSE results, if they can then get on a different subject? Is that something that's possible?
Yeah. So if you've already applied and you've got these subjects, you've got offers for them, so they're there for you. But yeah, if you change your subjects, either vocational or A-level, then you're welcome to do that. You'll get about July time some information about enrolment, which will be in August, and it'll invite you to come and enroll for the subjects that you've applied for. But if you've decided beforehand, you can let us know and we can add the other subjects to your application. But if it's GCSE results day and you get better results than you'd expected, then just give us a ring and we can tell you when to come in, because you can enrol, and in that enrolment you'll have an interview with the department. So yeah, even though you've got offers now, there's nothing legally binding there, and you can apply and enroll for something different all the way through into August. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Michael. Someone's asked when the 2022 prospectus will be available. So for entries for the current year 10s, I believe that'll be, or 9s and 10s.
Yeah, they're working on it right now. So hopefully, we usually send them out to schools at the beginning of the academic year. So by the time that they come back in September, at least by October, we like to have all of the course guides sent to schools. So yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. There's a couple of questions on specific courses. So someone said, for teaching, are there any recommended A-levels or pathways to take? For that one, I'd say the best place would be to look at is the Get Into Teaching website, or speak to a teacher in school, because it depends on, I know this way, it will depend on if you want to go into primary teaching or secondary teaching. You may want to choose specific subjects. So that one is probably best. There's there's a link to Get Into Teaching on the careers site. So go and find that one. And again, there's ones for what do you offer for engineering. I'm guessing if we just point them to the Barnsley College Courses website, will there be information about that on there?
You can sum it up really quickly. There's electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, there's a thing called mechatronics, and then you can do your car, motor vehicle engineering as well.
Bro, thank you.
Say as well, for the childcare, because we have a childcare at vocational level, which if you want to be a primary school teacher or nursery teacher, would recommend. But A-levels is the route if you want to be a secondary school teacher. So, but yeah, look into more detail. But if you want to do secondary school, it's A-levels for certain.
Bro, thank you. And then the final question then, someone's asked, when do they think they'll be available to come and look around the campus? Because obviously they're interested. Have you any idea yet?
We've no official, our students have just gone back in, so we can't be certain. If you're in year 11 now, we're not so sure. We'd like to think by September we can be doing tours again, certainly for students who will be in year 11 then. But I would say keep checking, email us and ask us, and if we can do something, we can.
Yeah, and speak to whichever school you're at. Speak to the careers advisors, speak to the careers leads, because that will be the first people to find out when that's going to head. We all want to organise trips into colleges and universities and things, so as soon as we can, we definitely will. So,
well, I will just add to that, really, sorry. We've got tasters coming up for anybody that's applied in year 11. We have virtual tasters coming up. So if you've applied to a course or you're interested in a course and you haven't got the application in, get that application in, because you will be invited into some tasters in May, June time. And that's when you can meet the tutors that are going to be teaching you over that next year. So even though you're not coming into college, it will be virtual. It's a fantastic way for you to meet the tutors.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ashley and Michael. That's been a massive help. And again, we've got the Padlet still open to ask any questions. And again, if you've got any more course-specific things, barnsley.ac.uk, or speak to the careers advisors from Careers Inc. They'll be able to get you in touch with the right place. Brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. I'm going to invite Emily now onto the screen. Emily from Ask Apprenticeships, thank you very much for joining us. are you okay just sharing your presentation things, and I will get it all loaded up for you on the screen, and I will.
Can you see that? Have you got that, Ben?
Yeah, we've got that on the screen. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. I'll leave it over to you.
Thank you very much. Hi everybody, just wrapping you up today with some information about apprenticeships. So my name's Emily. I work for Sheffield City Council, but I deliver the Ask project throughout Sheffield, Rotherham and Barnsley. So that's what I'm going to talk to you on behalf of today. I'm just going to go over apprenticeships. Like everybody said today, it's just really important that you understand what all of your options are, and so you can make the choice that's going to be right for you. And there are some misconceptions around apprenticeships still, so hopefully I'll bust some of those today so that you know whether or not it's going to be an option you want to pursue. So the most important thing to remember about apprenticeships is that they are a job. So you will apply to an employer for an apprenticeship, and they will be the person who decides whether or not they want to take you on as their apprentice. You will be an employee of that company, and because you're an employee and it's a job, you earn a wage. So I think Rachel said before, it's £4.15 an hour at the moment is a national minimum wage for apprentices. So no employer can pay you any less than that, but they can choose to pay you more if they want to, and some of them do decide to do that. You'll be expected to work for at least 30 hours per week. Sometimes it is more than that. But as part of that time, you'll spend 80% of your time, which is usually around 4 days a week, in the workplace, and 20% of your time, which is around a day a week, doing off-the-job classroom-based learning. That will help you to study towards a job-related qualification, that off-the-job learning. So you'll be studying things that are relevant to what you're doing in the workplace with a training provider, and the training provider and the employer will work together to make sure that you're supported through the apprenticeship. Because it's a job, again, you get a contract of employment, and that includes holiday pay and holiday allowance. But it is a real job with real responsibilities. So there's still a bit of a misconception, I think sometimes from people that have done work experience maybe, that if you do an apprenticeship, you just make the tea, do the photocopy and that sort of stuff. And it's just not the case. You are a real employee of that company. The employer's putting a lot of time, effort and money into you as somebody who they've taken on. So they do expect a certain level of responsibility that you're going to take, of commitment from you. So it's just something to bear in mind if you're thinking of doing an apprenticeship. It's not necessarily the easy option that some people think it might be. So I've already said that you earn a salary as an apprentice, and the odds are really good for staying in work post-apprenticeship. So 90% of apprentices do stay in work after they finish their apprenticeship. That could be that they continue on with their current employer, or it could be that they decide to then move to a different employer to carry on their apprenticeship training or move into full-time work. You can definitely have a social life as well as an apprentice. So some young people worry about this. If they're going into work, are they going to have a social life? It will look different, obviously, to your peers because you're going to be working 4 to 5 days a week. So it's going to look a bit different. You're going to live for the weekend, but you are going to have more disposable income than a lot of peers, other people your age. And there are networks as well as part of being an apprentice. So there's something called the YAN, which is the Young Apprentice Ambassador Network. And that's a way that you can meet other young apprentices across the country and make friends that way as well as people who are in your workplace, maybe other apprentices or colleagues that you work with. As Rachel mentioned before, you can gain a degree through the apprenticeship route now. So I'll go into that a little bit more later. But a big perk of that is that there are no fees to pay. So current government fees for going to university are £9,000 a year. And the big appeal of going down the apprenticeship route to get a degree is that you don't pay any of that. Apprenticeships are everywhere as well. So if at any point you want to or you feel like you can relocate, then that's perfectly possible. But again, it's not the easy route. So you can't just walk into an apprenticeship. You can't just say, I want an apprenticeship and get one straight away, because it's down to the employer. There's an application process that has to happen. Some people make 10, 20, 30, even 40 apprenticeship applications before they get an interview, and that's perfectly normal. So it does take dedication, it does take resilience and hard work in that application process, and they are very competitive. So that 20% off the job time, just a quick word on that. It can look a number of different ways. So I think somebody said before, it could be that you do a block in college or a training provider rather than a day a week. It could be that a tutor comes into the workplace to do some work with you there. It could be online. It could be with a college or training provider in a classroom setting, or it could be a mixture of all of these. You don't need to worry too much. Your employer and training provider will keep you informed of what that's going to look like, but just so you know, there's not just one right way for it to be. So there are a range of apprenticeships on offer, and I would really encourage you to do some research around this if you're thinking that an apprenticeship is something that you might be interested in. Again, some people tend to think of apprenticeships as being in construction and trade, and while there are fantastic apprenticeships in construction and trade areas, there are such a range of apprenticeships on offer now that you really do need to research it and have a look to really understand the breadth of what's out there. This is just an example of some of the areas that you can go into through an apprenticeship that are on the board. It's just really important you do that research and you don't kind of rule any area out because you think there is an apprenticeship available in it, because you might find out that there is. So these are just some examples of big name employers across the country. Some of these do have bases around Sheffield, Rotherham and Barnsley. Some of them don't. But around 50% of apprenticeships every year are started with those big name employers. So some people tend to, want to get apprenticeships with those big name employers that you would recognise. And that's fantastic. It's great to have a goal and great to have an aim. But about 50% of apprenticeships aren't started with employers that you would ever have heard of. They're started with smaller companies. So it's just important that you don't rule anybody out or go in with a preconceived idea of who's going to offer a good apprenticeship, because the smaller employers offer just as good apprenticeships as the big employers. So it's just worth bearing that in mind if you're starting your apprenticeship search. Another thing to bear in mind, which I'm sure you have been talked to about in school, is to just think about what goes on behind the scenes of a company. So not to rule any particular business out just because on the face of things they don't do what it is you want to do. So for example, if a company makes cars and you're not interested in engineering or motor vehicle, that doesn't mean that there's not going to be a job in that company that you would be interested in. There's always people doing jobs behind the scenes like the ones that you can see on the screen at the moment. Some of these you might not be aware of because they're maybe not jobs that you see on a day-to-day basis. So again, doing that research, really finding out and keeping an open mind as well. You might think you want to do one particular thing, but then when you do a bit of research and you look into it a bit more, you might find that there's another route that would be interesting to you as well, or instead of what you originally thought you wanted to go into. So apprenticeships, there are 4 levels of apprenticeships. A level 2, which is an intermediate apprenticeship, and that's equivalent to your GCSEs. A level 3 is an advanced level apprenticeship, and that's equivalent to A-levels or BTEC qualification. A level 4 apprenticeship is a higher level apprenticeship, and a level 6 and level 7 are a degree level apprenticeship and sometimes a master's level apprenticeship. Now, what's important here is that you don't look at that and go, well, I've got my GCSEs, so I'll go straight into a level 3 and I'm sorted. Because what an apprenticeship gives you that school can't really is it gives you a level of work experience. So if you're doing a level 2 apprenticeship, you're going to be doing that studying, but you're going to be gaining a year to 2 years worth of work experience that's then laying that groundwork for what's expected of you as an employee, what your employer expects of you, how to juggle your time between work and study. And those are really valuable things to learn. So if you're coming out of year 11 or year 13, don't get too transfixed on what level you're going to apply for. It's always the most important thing to apply for the job or the apprenticeship that is right for you, rather than getting too hung up on what the level is, because you could wait forever if you're coming out of year 13 and you want to apply for a higher degree level apprenticeship. That's fantastic. But if you see a job that is right for you and it's at a level 2 or a level 3, please don't let that stop you applying for those apprenticeships. Because if you do a good job and you prove yourself to your employer, there's no reason why you can't then progress onwards with that employer or a different one. Sorry, if you're coming out of year 11, realistically, you're going to be looking at a level 2 or a level 3 apprenticeship. But again, keep an open mind and look at what's out there and don't sort of pigeonhole yourself into one particular apprenticeship or level. So there's higher degree level apprenticeships then. They're not available in every single area, so you can't just pick something that you can go to university to study and decide that you're going to do an apprenticeship in it, because it might not be a route. Degree apprenticeships are getting added to all the time. So again, you do need to do research and have a look at the different ones, the different routes that you can pursue via a degree level apprenticeship. However, there are sort of perks to going down the degree apprenticeship route. So like I said, you don't pay anything, you are paid a salary the whole time, and you still get that same qualification as somebody who had gone to university. It can take longer, so it can take anywhere between 3 or 4 to 6 years to complete a higher degree level apprenticeship. So it does take longer. It's a bigger commitment in terms of time. But that whole time you are doing that, you're studying towards your degree, but you're also gaining work experience. And work experience is something that all employers would tell you they do really value when it goes to applying for full-time work. It is really valuable to employers. It's something you would probably really struggle to get if you went down the university route. And you still get all your perks, you still get your student discount, all of those things. But this route isn't going to be for everybody. So it's just, again, it's important that you understand what your options are, because you're going to be working full time and studying at a degree level, which is difficult, and that's not going to suit every single person. So again, it's just important that you consider that before you decide that you're going to dive headfirst into a higher degree level apprenticeship. And so I've just had a quick look just to give you a bit of an example, a bit of an insight into what is out there. Some of you might be thinking about applying at the moment, and if you're in year 11 or year 13 and you're considering an apprenticeship, really any time from now you need to be looking for vacancies, and I'll talk to you in a moment about where to look. But this is how many vacancies there are currently live within this many miles of Shafton School. This is reduced partly because of COVID, and some businesses aren't reopened yet. Some businesses who would normally take on apprentices just aren't in a position to do so financially. Some businesses maybe have still got an apprentice from last year who's not been able to finish their apprenticeship yet. We are hoping this is going to increase, but again, because apprenticeships are employer driven, there's no way really for us to know 100% at what point they're going to pick up. But what's important here is that there are jobs out there are vacancies, but because there are fewer than we would like to see, they are going to be competitive. So you've got to think about what's going to make you stand out on your application or your CV. And these are just some examples of vacancies that are live at the moment. So you can see there's a range of vacancies there. This is just a taste of how many, some different apprenticeships that there are. You've got things like accountant, logistics operatives, so that's organising and planning how things are going to roll out, maybe for a company, HGV technician, recruitment officer. So some of these you might not have thought of as jobs. They wouldn't have popped into your head because typically we want to do the jobs that we know exist, and maybe you didn't know that some of these existed. You can see there that all the closing dates are different, and that reflects the fact that apprenticeships are advertised throughout the year. So there's not just a set time when employers advertise vacancies. They don't work like a school year does. So a school year obviously will run from September to June or July. Apprenticeships are advertised at any point through the year. If an employer decides they want to take on an apprentice, they can advertise it whenever, because apprenticeships aren't just available to school leavers, they're available to anybody over the age of 16 really. So just bear that in mind when you're applying. You're not just competing against students who are of your age, you're competing against students who are maybe leaving year 12, year 13, maybe they're older than that and they've already been working in a sector and they're looking to retrain or upskill. So they are advertised throughout the year, and you can see that salary does differ as well. So like I said before, the minimum is £4.15 an hour, but if they want to pay you more than that as an employer, then they absolutely can do. Some wages can be quite competitive. But if you're thinking that an apprenticeship sounds like it's maybe what you want to look for, maybe you know what kind of apprenticeship you want to look for, maybe you're not really sure and you want to have a look what's out there, the Find an Apprenticeship website is going to be your main port of call. That's going to be your starting point for looking for vacancies. So it's that just there, you can see gov.uk and then it's /apply-apprenticeship. But likewise, if you just Google Find an Apprenticeship, it's the first link that comes up there. It's a fantastic website. It's really easy to use. You can create an account on there. It's really secure. It's government run. And once you've created an account, once you're searching for vacancies, then you can start to apply for vacancies if they are ones that you want to apply for, if they've got a start date that's going to be suitable for when you finish at school. Even if that start date's a little bit earlier, there's nothing to stop you from getting in touch with that company to find out if they can be flexible with that start date. Some companies will just want to take somebody on as soon as possible. Some companies are willing to wait for the right person. But as long as you do that in a polite way, that's never going to reflect badly on you. You can set alerts through Find an Apprenticeship so that you don't miss any vacancies. But a sort of top tip that I would say for when you're searching on Find an Apprenticeship, there is a keyword part and you can put in the keyword that you're searching for. So if you want to do electrical, you could put in electrical. But if you leave that keyword search blank, it will come up with all of the vacancies within the area that you've searched in. And that's really important, really. That's a really valuable thing to do, because it's going to show you vacancies that you maybe wouldn't have searched for, maybe aren't coming up for a particular keyword search that you're doing, but maybe would interest you and are something that you hadn't previously thought about. So I'd really recommend doing that when you're doing your search. There are other places you can look as well. So on company websites, so some employers don't advertise to find an apprenticeship. It's difficult to know exactly who they are. But for example, the NHS don't advertise to find an apprenticeship. They advertise on the NHS jobs page. So it's important that if there's a particular employer that you're interested in working for and you're not seeing them come up on finding an apprenticeship, going to their website and having a look if they've got information on there is important. Following not just employers on social media, but organisations on social media that might be able to help. So anybody who supports with careers, following them on social media, they'll post tips about applying for different routes, for apprenticeships as well, and maybe even vacancies. And just another thing to bear in mind is that anybody can take on an apprentice as long as they can offer the correct level of training and pay. So if you know somebody who works in a particular field that you're interested in, it may be worth having that conversation with them to find out whether or not they would be willing or happy to take you on as an apprentice. If you want any more information, then the National Apprenticeship Service is a really great free resource to go to as a starting point to find out more information about apprenticeships. You can see that on social media, and they've got a free phone number as well. But I've whizzed through that. That's everything from me, unless we've got any questions from any of you.
We do, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. So we'll go straight to the questions because I'm conscious of the time. So we've got a question that says, can you get an apprenticeship and then still go to university?
It depends. Rachel might be able to help with this, actually, if you want to bring her in as well. Yes, you can, but I'm not sure. They don't all translate to the UCAS tariff chart. Is that right, Rachel?
It is, yeah. So again, research is absolutely crucial because what Emily's just mentioned there, the UCAS tariff, is basically when you apply for university, you have to get a certain amount of what we call UCAS points. Now, only certain qualifications actually provide you with UCAS points. So certain apprenticeships provide you with UCAS points. So, for example, certain level 3 and level 4 apprenticeships provide you with UCAS points. But it will be something that if you have got an employer who's taking you on and a college or a training provider who obviously is attached to that employer and will provide the qualification side of your apprenticeship, they will be able to tell you the specific in and out of the qualification and what you can go on to next. So it's definitely worth researching, definitely worth asking the question if you are wanting to go up those sort of levels of apprenticeships or go sort of into higher education, whether that's stereotypical sort of traditional full-time university or, as Emily's mentioned, to do a degree apprenticeship.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, both. And then there's just one more question for Emily. What do you need to, I think you might have answered this already, but what do you need to apply for first? Do you apply for the employer? Do you apply for the job and then the college part, or which way around is it?
So apprenticeships are in two parts. So they need an employer and they need a training provider as well. If you apply to the training provider first, then you will then need to go out and find an employer. So that's actually the more, unless you've already got an employer lined up. So maybe you've got somebody that you know who said that they'll take you on as an apprentice. Unless that's the case, it's actually quite a difficult way around to do it. So what you're going to want to do is look for apprenticeships that are advertised as full apprenticeships. So anything that's on Find an Apprenticeship on sites like notgoingtouni.co.uk and on job websites as well. If an employer is advertising an apprenticeship, then that apprenticeship will already have the training sorted out for you. You won't have to do any of that. So typically what you will find is that if you're applying for an apprenticeship, full apprenticeship, you're applying to an employer, they will have already sorted out the training. You don't even need to worry about it. Generally, often what we do see is if people apply to college or a training provider to get that apprenticeship training sorted, it might be that they've already got an employer who's willing to take them on, or maybe they're doing that as well as applying for full apprenticeships with everything included as part of it.
Brilliant, that's great. Thank you very much. Again, if there are any more questions, obviously as we go through, I'll make sure they're sent across. We've got one other question about fees. I think it's the same person that wants to apply for a university abroad. What I'm going to do is I'll message them back directly and get them in touch with Hepsi, in touch with Rachel. So it'll be there will be a discussion about fees. Obviously, it's not the same as student finance in the UK. It'll be slightly different. So whoever's asked that question, I'll make sure that I've sent you the Hepsi contact form for them to get in touch with. So Emily, it's been brilliant. Thank you very much. I'm just going to share really quickly then the just the career site, just to point out a couple of things that I'd like you to see. Obviously, this career site is open, obviously 24/7 now. It's been created for this event, but it's not going to close down. So the main thing I want to point out is this feedback form here. So right at the top, underneath the title, if you click that, it'll take you to a form where there's a couple of questions on there. You don't need to put any names or anything in. A couple of questions about this afternoon, and then you are in with a chance to win a £10 Amazon voucher. I'll make sure schools are all aware that's going to be open until 2:30 tomorrow, and then the winner will be picked and the vouchers will be posted out to you. So again, I'll contact careers leads in schools about that, but that's open to anyone in an Outwood school. We've also got down at the bottom, I'd like to point out, they're the careers and the curriculum links. So if you're interested in a particular career, career in a subject area, so have a click on those. All the different subjects are there. And then finally, we've got these careers Q&A videos and sessions at the bottom, and some other interviews with a range of employers such as town plannings, physicians, hairdressing. And then we've got, this week is Get Up to Speed with STEM Week. We've got a special login there for pupils to access resources, and then some creative careers down here. So absolutely loads to get involved with. That's everything from me, and the rest of the guests tonight. Thank you very much to Ashley, Michael, Emily, and Rachel for joining us tonight. Thank you very much for you guys tuning in. Please do use this website. Please do come back to this. All this is here. Again, it will be shared with the careers advisors in the school. But on behalf of me and the Outwood Careers event, I just want to say thank you very much and have a lovely Easter, everybody. Bye-bye.